All right, we're back with Team Rising. We've got Andrew and Paris in the house today. A little bit of breaking presidential field news. Seth Moulton, a veteran and a congressman, has dropped out of the race. He has sort of struggled to get traction, didn't make any of the debates, and he has thrown his support, Andrew, behind Joe Biden, saying that he believes he would make a fantastic president.
Not a surprise. Seth Moulton is very much, he's from, the Salem area of Massachusetts, one of the more, if you can be conservative in Massachusetts, one of the more conservative areas of the state. And he's always been a moderate, right? And he, served 4 tours in Afghanistan. He has a connection with Beau Biden because of that service. I don't think this is a surprise at all. But the other thing is, no one even knew Seth Moulton was running. I don't think this was a positive move for his career to run in this race. And, as Rachel Maddow said last night, these Democrats are just starting to puff away.
They're going to puff away. And Paris, what do you think this says, though, about just moderates and how they're performing in the Democratic primary right now?
There's no room for moderates in the Democratic primary.
Biden's a moderate. He's leading the field.
Biden is pretending to. This is why Biden doesn't want to have a debate about climate change, because he knows he has to run a general election campaign. And if he runs the campaign that the base and the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders want him to run, he's going to have to go outside of the mantra of him being a moderate and go further and further to the left, which is not good for somebody who's going to have to go against Donald Trump in the general election. Yeah. And so I think that the moderates they don't have a home in this Democrat field, and that's why they're going to drop off. And this is the danger for Joe Biden. If he's going to be your nominee, which I think that he will be, which is good for my guy, if that's going to happen, he's going to have to stay right in the middle and not get weighed down by the left of Bernie Sanders and all the policy stuff that Elizabeth Warren is putting out. That's not good for him, because he has to stay middle of the road Joe.
Well, and the reality is, people aren't backing him, Andrew, because of his ideas. They don't love his centrism. They think he's the most electable.
Absolutely, right? And Joe Biden said that the other day, essentially, right?
The people who are backing candidates based on their ideas and where they want to take the country are behind Sanders, and they're behind Warren.
Yeah, but I also want to remind everyone how early it still is, right? We're here talking in D.C. today, but if we went out and talked to voters, around the country and asked them to name 10 people running for president, I'm not sure they would be able to tell us. Yeah. So it's really early, but I also think, it's important when you talk about Joe Biden being a moderate. If you ask Steve Bullock, if you ask John Delaney, Joe Biden is no moderate.
Really?
Absolutely.
What's
Absolutely.
Their case? He's like,
that Joe Biden. Joe Biden is putting out, even more progressive proposals than they are, so they're actually the moderates in this race, and that's the lane they need to be in.
I'm not sure they really should be in the Democratic primary if that's the case. But let's talk about the next debate coming up fast, and we've got the field more or less set. One candidate who right now has not made the stage is Tulsi Gabbard, who I'll remind you, after both of the first 2 debates, Tulsi was actually the most Googled candidate. There was a lot of interest in what she had to say. She may have single-handedly taken out Kamala Harris, honestly, in the second debate, challenging her on her record. Kamala has never recovered in the polls. She's taken a big drop since then. Tulsi has met the threshold in terms of the number of donors, but she has not met the polling threshold. And Andrew, today, her campaign is calling foul because it is kind of random the way that the DNC is picking these polls. Like, they're basically picking whichever polls they want. They're not the most credible polls. There have been a lot fewer of them post this second debate, so candidates that have grown since then don't have as much of a chance to make it. I mean, is there something to what she's saying here?
Look, I think anyone who's hasn't made the debate is going to complain that they're not making the debate. Everyone is going, this is not the first press release being put out about how the debate rules are unfair.
Sure, but you're with the substance of it. I mean, does she have a point or no?
Look, I think the DNC is in a very hard position. We cannot have another debate for the sake of our party, for the sake of moving forward in finding getting people to really drill down on their policy positions. We cannot have another debate with 10 people on the stage 2 nights in a row. So the DNC, look, maybe their polling is wishy-washy, or they haven't been clear with the candidates on what polling.
You're just saying it's so early. People don't even know these candidates.
No,
yet.
But it's still.
Shouldn't they? I mean, with the DNC putting their thumb on the scales for the candidates they want to see going forward?
I don't think they are, because I don't think they want to see. I still don't think they want to see Bernie where he is. I don't think they want to see Warren.
Right.
So, but I think that Tulsi Gabbard, if you look, Tulsi Gabbard has very little campaign in Iowa. She has very little campaign in New Hampshire. That's fine. Not for a campaign apparatus, not for building out your operation. So I don't actually think, if you want to look at this, I think we could look at how people on the debate stage based on how many staff they have on the ground. That would maybe be a good criteria.
Most of these people are sort of indistinguishable from one another.
Correct.
Tulsi Gabbard has a very distinctive perspective. She's an American veteran she was a combat medic in Iraq, and what she saw there, really changed her mind about American imperialism abroad. And so I am sad that she's not going to be on the stage if she doesn't, in fact, make it on the stage, because whether you agree with her or not, I think she raises very important and valid concerns and is different than the rest of the people who are up there.
Look, I think to answer you specifically, the DNC does have a problem here because there's not a consistent across-the-board standard but for people to get on the key. It seems to be fluctuating. And that is a problem. And I think if they want to be an open party and party that's inclusive and having a lot of ideas and a party of ideas, they should want to have as many of those differing ideas on the debate stage, especially a woman, especially someone who is a combat veteran, especially someone who is, like you said, she challenged Senator Harris in a very significant way. And it begs the question, do they not want that to happen again? Because there seems to be an upper echelon tier of people on the Democrat side whom they are anointing, if you will, to be the chosen ones to go up against President Trump.
Last thought, Andrew.
I think that polling is a really hard measure to, as you said, Paris, it's hard to believe in polling these days. So I'm not sure the DNC should have decided to choose people for the debate based on polling.
Picking and choosing random polls.
Random polls.
Retrospectively, maybe not the greatest choice. Gentlemen, thank you. Enjoyed you both today. Thank you. Next week on Rising, we get the latest news from New Hampshire Democratic Party officials. Also, presidential hopeful John Delaney is going to join us. That's always fun. We're going to learn how the RNC is doing in the fundraising game.
And, of course, Team Rising will be here.
Lauren, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have you.
So great. I love
week.
being with Team Rising and with you this morning.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell. You don't want to miss any of this. You know you don't. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.